Hey, my name is Yai, host of the Let's Live in Thailand channel. I'm dressed like this so you'll know you're in the right place since this video is about Egypt. Today I'm going to show you how to make your holiday in Egypt truly fantastic. My husband Tom and I are back from 3 fabulous weeks traveling Egypt from Alexandria to Abu Simbel, so I want to pass on the magic words for avoiding scams and touts. How to eat without getting mummy tummy. Pro tips for hassle-free Uber. The right way to shop. Secrets to staying safe. Plus, how to get your visa, arrive at the airport, get money and internet tip, and of course, I'll tell you what it was like being a gay couple traveling Egypt. Spoiler alert, it was just fine. Yalla habibi, let's go to Egypt. You may already have your plane tickets and itinerary, but there's one more thing you must do before you leave. Either get your visa for Egypt in advance, or make sure you've got everything you need to get your Egyptian visa when you arrive. Here's how. First, find out if you need a visa. Most everybody does, by looking here. If you need a visa, you have two choices. Get it online or get it on arrival at the airport. Both ways are easy, and they both cost the same. Two things to remember, though. First, make sure you have at least 6 months remaining on your passport as of the day of your arrival, not as the date of your application. Second, if you're applying at the airport, you'll need cash. Only US dollars, euros, and British pounds are accepted, no credit cards. The visa fee is 25 US dollars. If you don't have exactly 25 bucks, they'll give you change in Egyptian pounds. We chose to do our visa in advance here. Be careful. There are plenty of scam sites who charge extra fees, take personal data you don't need to give, and generally give you heartburn. Only use this official government link. The e-visa was fast, it was easy, and we paid with a credit card. Once our application and payment were accepted, we got an email with a PDF document to print out. Then, when we arrived in Egypt, immigration was completely uninterested in this piece of paper. They can already see everything in their computer once they scan your passport. But be safe and print it out anyway. Now, about credit cards. Many credit cards don't like charges originating in Egypt. So if your credit card is rejected by the e-visa website, don't give up. Just contact your card issuer and give them a heads up. You can usually do that on your own bank's website. If you want a visa on arrival, after getting off the plane at the Cairo airport, walk toward baggage claim. Of course, you'll find the visa on arrival area before you get to immigration. It was empty when we were there, but I was told that at certain times there could be quite a queue. Even though the visa on arrival counters are run by banks, this is not where you change your money. You just get your visa here. And remember, visa on arrival only works if you're arriving at an airport and you must pay cash. So, you've dragged yourself off the plane and out the gate. You stopped at the visa on arrival section if you needed to, and you've almost reached the immigration counters. Hang on! Did you fill out your arrival card yet? We got our arrival cards on the plane. If you didn't get one, there's an area provided for just that before you reach the immigration counters. Pro tip, have your own pen. Tom and I walked up to the immigration counter as a couple and gave the officer both our passports. The officer was really nice. She started out looking a bit dour. That's probably her job. But she gave us a smile back when we smiled at her, and as she stamped our passports, she even said, "Welcome to Egypt." We were off to baggage claim in minutes. The baggage claim in the Cairo airport is spacious and tidy. Here is where you'll find the money exchange counters. Our bags came out super fast, so we changed money after we got our bags. If there are a lot of flights, you might want to queue up at an exchange booth before the bags arrive. Don't be picky about which exchange counter you use. The rates are all set by the government, so they're all exactly the same. Choose the shortest line or the smiliest teller. We exchanged 200 US dollars into Egyptian pounds for our 3-week trip, mostly for miscellaneous tips and small expenses like bathrooms. All you need to have to change money is money, of course, and your passport, though I saw some folks get asked for their boarding passes, so be sure to hang on to that as well. When you get to the exchange counter, don't be afraid to ask the agent to include some small bills, or they will give you the large 100 and 200 pound notes, which are the equivalent of about $2 and $4. But you'll mostly be tipping in 50s and 20s. More on that later. So here's the Egyptian money: 200, 100, 50, 20, 10, 5, plus the £1 coin. Very cool design of that coin. There are other little coins called piasters, great name, but we never used or even saw one. Also, we never changed money or used an ATM again, since most places take cards or even Apple Pay. We had about £400 cash in our pocket when we left Egypt. Sounds like a lot, but that's about $8. Egyptian pounds are not convertible outside the country. So if you have a substantial sum left over, be sure to visit an exchange counter at the airport and convert what you have back to your home currency before you leave. So now you've got cash. Yalla bina!
Not so fast, cowboy.
Oh, yeah, right. Unless you've decided to use your own phone carrier's data roaming, likely very expensive, you're going to want a local SIM. Instead of leaving the airport after baggage claim, dodge the taxi touts by just pointing to the telephone counters, they're easy to find, and head straight over to Vodafone to buy a data SIM. It's going to be a physical SIM. Sorry, non-residents can only buy physical SIMs, not eSIMs. Vodafone's minimum package worked for us, 15 gigabytes for each of our phones for $7 per phone. When we travel, we use data for online maps and for Uber. It's also useful for calling each other on a chat app if we get separated. As far as that goes, FaceTime, WhatsApp, and Neighborline all work great in Egypt. We had fast 4G service most places and even ran into 5G connections here and there. For data-intensive stuff, most hotels have very good free internet, so don't waste your phone data watching YouTube, unless, of course, you're watching this channel. I may have mentioned dodging the taxi touts at the airport, so how are we going to get from the airport to our hotel? Tom and I have been to Egypt before, but we've never flown in, so we weren't quite sure how easy it would be to find Uber at the airport. Instead, we hired a car service for a usurious sum by Egyptian standards. But the driver was fantastic. He spoke excellent English, and we chatted all the way to the hotel, asking him about crossing the street, tipping, sights to see, and how to handle the touts. In the end, I feel like we got our money's worth, but your mileage may vary. But now that Tom and I have more experience with Uber in Egypt, we'll use Uber next time. It's $10 to $15 depending on the time of the day. The rideshare pickup area at the airport is conveniently located, and the drivers are motivated to find you anyway. So, although Uber driver English is often quite limited, all our drivers were welcoming and very helpful. There was never a problem getting where we were going, and since Uber is all paid via the app, including the tip, you don't need to fumble with money. Don't miss out on the Uber tricks I'll tell you about later in this video. Of course, you can also hire your hotel's car service, but at the terminal, you'll find lots of folks soliciting taxi rides. I give the same advice here I would give for any airport. Practice a polite no thank you. Use it liberally. After delivering your sweetest version of no thank you, imagine that person just disappeared into thin air. Then keep walking. Don't engage, don't chat. More tips about that coming up. So, what's next? Well, if you've done everything right, you're sitting in your car, about to arrive at your hotel and have your first encounter with tipping. In Thailand, where Tom and I live, Egypt is pronounced itip, and that's really an appropriate name. Tips are welcome or expected for just about everything, but surprisingly, nobody expects very much. It really feels like tips are evidence of appreciation as much as a source of income. Okay, so what to tip when you arrive at the hotel? If you took an Uber, at the end of the ride, give a 5-star rating and the maximum tip showing on the app, £20. Come on, that's 40 cents. If you took a hotel car, you obviously have more money than you know what to do with, so pay as much as you think your driver deserves. But in reality, £100 is plenty. Same if you took a car service, 100 Egyptian pounds for a tip is just fine. Once at the hotel, do take advantage of the great folks you'll find there. They're helpful, and besides, it's a great way to make sure the people at the hotel know you, so you get the benefit of genuine Egyptian hospitality. That can also be a big advantage if you run into any problems during your visit. Tip 50 Egyptian pounds for a bag, and another 50 or 100 Egyptian pounds to anyone else who gives you great service on the way to your room. Okay, so how much to tip other places? We talked about transport and hotels, so you'll find that restaurants add a tax of 14% plus a service charge of 10 to 15%. That service charge is not for the server's tip, but just an add-on to pay the wages of the workers. If you like the service at a nice place, give 50 or 100 pounds. At a smaller place, even 20 Egyptian pounds is enough. Don't try to add your tip to the credit card charge. Give cash to the server directly. You might find this a bit unusual, but the folks who staff the tourist sites often expect some sort of tip. £20 is common at bathrooms. It's even mandatory at some places, like at Dashur by the Bent Pyramid. So make sure you always carry a few £20 notes. A few more if you have a weak bladder. As for staff at the tourist sites, well, for example, when we went to historic Cairo, we found that at each of the pay madrasas, the ticket taker first checked our tickets and then started taking us around for a tour. If you let them do that, expect to tip them. If you don't want them to do that, tell them and they'll leave you alone. However, I have to say, at least in historic Cairo, it's a good decision if you let them give you the tour. They're knowledgeable and entertaining. This was at the Madrasa of Sultan al-Nasir Mohammed ibn Qalawun, where our guide even demonstrated the acoustics of the mihrab for us. If you really like what your guide did, give £100. If you felt it was so-so, 50 is plenty. Just don't be financially allergic and stiff them. That said, at some ancient sites, guards and caretakers may offer to use your phone to take your picture for you. If you choose to let them do that, you will have to give a tip to get your phone back. How much you have to pay will depend on how mercenary your helper is. My advice, if you're unsure, take your own pictures or ask another nearby trustworthy traveler to take them for you. At the airport, porters will offer to handle your bags at security and baggage claim, often making it look like it's mandatory to have them handle your bag on or off the belt. It's not. But if you want them to do it, £20 per bag is plenty. Are there special occasions where you might want to tip? We had a couple of instances where some very helpful folks intervened to help us find our way to buy tickets or whatever. Our usual instincts would be to consider it rude to offer a stranger money for helping us out, but we found that no one was insulted when we asked them if we could thank them with a bit of cash. So be generous. But there are pushy folks who will do useless things on your behalf without asking you and then act offended or unhappy that you didn't give them something. 2 steps to deal with that. First, when they start trying to help, say, "No, thank you." In a bit, I'll teach you how to say that in Egyptian to make it even more effective. Second, when they demand a tip, just keep walking. If they raise a ruckus, everyone around knows what it's about, so don't be embarrassed. Soon your tormentor will give up and start looking for their next mark. Now that you know how to get from the airport to your hotel and how to tip like a seasoned traveler, you're ready to go out and about. So let's go. Egypt is not very walkable. Although the French and English influence on the urban infrastructure of Egypt means there are ample walking paths in the cities, their suitability for that purpose is limited. You can have some great walks in the desert, though. This is Tom hiking between the pyramids at Dashur. Something that's likely to strike you right away is the number of people walking in the street, even when there are sidewalks. There's plenty of reasons for that. There's construction, hawkers, dogs, cats, hazards, and holes, all teaming up to force you onto the street. So most folks just give up on the sidewalk and walk in the street. Then, of course, even if you find a long, continuous place to walk, eventually you'll have to cross the street. If you've been in Ho Chi Minh City, you know Vietnam is notorious for scary street crossing. Well, in comparison to Cairo, Ho Chi Minh is like being in Switzerland. There are three ways to cross the street in Egypt, depending on your mobility and, I guess, bravery. The method we usually chose we called walk like an Egyptian. No, not like that. No. Walk like an Egyptian is when you find some locals who are crossing the street, you stand downstream from them, and when they go, you go. The second way, one of our drivers called the magic hand. If there are no locals to cross with, suck it up. Look for a likely opportunity to cross, and then raise your hand like a traffic cop ordering stop while weaving your way to the other side. The final way is to just wait long enough for a clear opportunity, assuming you're in Egypt long enough for that. Anyway, in 3 weeks, we never saw anyone injured crossing the street. One of our drivers explained that the consequences of a driver hitting a pedestrian are very severe. I mean, for the driver, of course, they're severe for the pedestrian. So drivers are careful. I'd say careful is a relative word here, but I get it. Self-interest is a great motivator. You can avoid some street crossing by taking a car. Taxis? During our 3 weeks, we never braved the taxis, so sorry, I've got bupkis on that. But who needs taxis when there's Uber? Before you come to Egypt, join Uber and register a credit card for payment. After you do that, life's good. It's easy putting in your pickup point and destination in English, and you don't have to handle any cash. Here are the pro tips I promised for successfully using Uber. First, the pickup point. If you're at a really busy place, for example, Ramses train station in Cairo, there are going to be several designated pickup points. Because the train station is located under a freeway, the GPS doesn't really work very well. So it can be really hard to figure out where to meet your driver. The way we got around that was to start ordering the ride, but we stop at the point where it asks to select a pickup location. The app then offers some choices for pickup marked on the map. You'll also see a little blue dot showing where you are. Before you finish ordering your ride, try to walk to one of the suggested pickup points, watch your little blue dot on the map, and then complete the order after you arrive at that pickup point. We needed to do that a couple of times in Cairo and in Alexandria, and it worked out great. Next, wait time. If you're in a hurry and it's a busy time, or you're in a really busy traffic area, you will have to wait for your car to arrive. We never waited more than 20 minutes, once at the remote J. Anderson Museum and once at the hotel during the height of rush hour. 5 minutes of waiting time was usual, sometimes less. The only way to avoid wait time is to take a taxi. There are always taxis nearby. But like I said, I got bupkis for you on that. I never used them. So how about the price? The most we ever paid for Uber was $10 for our trip to the airport for our outgoing flight. Typical trips were $1 to $3 or 50 to 150 Egyptian pounds. When using Uber anywhere in the world, you identify your car by the make, model, color, driver name, and number plate. All good, except most Egyptian license plates use Egyptian numbers. There are some exceptions for older plates that have both the numbers you're familiar with and the Egyptian numbers. Here's a sample plate with numbers you can read. But here's what you'll get on the newer cars. No worries if you can't read it. You can still verify your ride by checking the make, model, and color of the car. You should ask the driver for his name, and if that doesn't quite work out, ask the driver for your name. But hey, reading the number plate makes it easier to be sure it's the right car, not to mention to be able to see the car coming. Do you know how many white Kias there are on the road in Cairo? Well, oodles. So why not learn the numbers? There are only 10 of them. And here they are. That one's easy. 1. Only 9 left to go. That looks like a 2 on its side, doesn't it? Well, it is a 2. But be careful. Sometimes they just use a modernized font and it just looks like a backwards 7. That looks like a 3 on its side with a tail. Yeah, but that's a 3. Oh, another 3, only backwards. Backwards 3 is 4. No, that's not 0, it's 5. You just have to remember that one. Ah, 7. No, that's not 7, it's discounted, it's just a 6. But you're close. You see, the 7 fell over because it was out late drinking last night. But when it sobered back up, it stood up and turned into an 8. You got this one right, 9. Finally, for 0, just remember that instead of the donut, you get the hole. I'll leave those down in the corner for you to study a bit. Another way to get around Egypt is by train. Cairo has a subway, which is lots of fun to take. Unfortunately, it really doesn't go anywhere you're going to want to go yet, so if you choose to explore it, do it for the experience. When we rode it, the ticket seller at the station gave us one of the warmest welcome to Egypt greetings of our whole stay. I don't think they get many foreign riders. Egypt also has intercity trains. I'll tell you more about those in the upcoming Unseen Egypt video when I tell you how to take the train from Cairo to Alexandria. Don't miss my upcoming video, Unseen Egypt, where you'll learn about the special things we found that you really shouldn't miss. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you'll be notified as soon as it's released. Now that you've started going out and about, you're in the midst of the Egyptian people and their culture. Let's talk a little bit about what that's like. I think the first thing that we noticed, aside from the traffic and traffic noise, is smoking. Smoking takes place just about everywhere, including indoor restaurants and shopping malls. If that bothers you, carry some sort of mask. There are no smoking sections in restaurants, but that might mean your table is no smoking, but the table next to you can smoke. If that's the case, you might need to choose a different restaurant. Of course, if you're a smoker, you've just died and gone to heaven. If you want to stand out as a newbie tourist, dress like it. Yeah, I get it. It's a hot country, but it's the desert. You'll notice very few Egyptians wear short pants, and most wear long-sleeve shirts. That's just practical. The humidity is so low that you dehydrate really quickly, and all the faster the more exposed skin you have. Hey, I'm not advising you to wear a galabia and headscarf, though they are darn practical in the heat, but at least don't dress like you're on a beach holiday. Oh, and wear really good walking shoes. Even in the nicest areas, the pavement can be treacherous. When you dress more like a local, don't worry, folks know you're not Egyptian, and many people will take an interest in you because you're a foreigner. The vast majority of folks you'll run into are very sincere. They'll greet you with a warm welcome to Egypt. Plus, they're genuinely curious where you're from, and they'll ask you. That question, though, is generally a fork in the road. If after they ask you where you're from, and then they smile, maybe shake your hand or fist bump, and then they go on their way, you're good. If they start walking with you and offering you any sort of assistance, for example, to help you find someplace, offer a service, or introduce you to a shop, that's the time to politely decline and move on. Stay tuned, and I'll give you some very easy language lessons to deal with that. But just thank you and moving on as if they were no longer there usually works. Okay, here's a short break for your Egyptian numbers quiz. Here are 4 license plate numbers. Can you get them all right? Leave your answers in the comments. At the start of the video, I alluded to the fact that Tom and I are a long-term gay couple, 32 years together this year. Frankly, since Egypt is a Muslim country, that caused us some anxiety about visiting Egypt. Turns out that anxiety was misplaced. Yeah, it's not a place to be openly flirting, and I wouldn't advise taking an Egyptian vacation to make new friends on Grindr. Do that at the risk of running into the police or getting blackmailed or worse. And generally in Egypt, you'll not see many public displays of affection, gay or straight. It happens, but especially among horny teens at the beach, and it's pretty frowned upon. But my husband and I are very clearly a couple. It's hard to hide that after 32 years together, and everyone seemed to either assume that we were a couple, accept that we were a couple, or even in a way to celebrate it. We booked rooms with 1 king bed in hotels that had them, some don't, and no one ever questioned or blinked an eye. We raise more eyebrows when we travel in Iowa. So here's the bottom line. LGBT folks can be very comfortable in Egypt. Just don't see Egypt as a place to hook up. Don't engage in public displays of affection. Do be who you are. People seem to respect that. And remember, it's not your country, not your culture, and not your fight. You're a visitor. If you want to support LGBTQ Egyptians, in the description I've linked some Egyptian organizations you can contact to find out how to do that. Aside from our anxiety over visiting a Muslim country as a gay couple, the YouTube videos we saw all seem to really blow up safety fears. Way, way too much. I guess it gets clicks, I don't know, but chill out. Here are tips that kept us safe and should keep any visitor to Egypt safe, gay or straight. Be circumspect and know your surroundings like you would anywhere new to you. Look where you're going and pay attention to what's happening around you. Don't go around with your face stuck in your Instagram feed. Don't engage in any risky activities you wouldn't engage in at home. Try not to venture into areas that look rather abandoned. An example would be the City of the Dead, which is an ancient Muslim cemetery with lots of squatters there. If you want to go there, do it with a guide. If you follow those simple rules, you'll find that Egyptian streets and neighborhoods are quite safe and people look out for each other. The most comforting advice we got while we were there was that if something happens, yell and scream like crazy. Plenty of locals will rush to your aid. And anyway, we never encountered any situation during our 3 weeks where we even felt a little at risk. We were out and about a lot and not just at tourist sites. Now, I understand some folks get nervous when they see plenty of police and military out and about on regular patrols or at security checkpoints with guns. After a while, you stop noticing it, and after a bit longer, you appreciate that there are eyes out everywhere. Maybe that's why it's so safe in Egypt. Tourism was more than 8% of Egypt's economy in 2024, just a bit less than the entire agricultural sector. So the government has a big incentive to keep you safe. The biggest risks to your safety are crossing the street and getting a case of mummy tummy. Chances are one of the reasons you're out and about is that you're shopping. Shopping in Egypt is different than what you're used to. Let's start with your souvenirs and tchotchkes. At just about every archaeological or historic site you visit, there will be a market with Egyptian looking swag. I say Egyptian looking because most of it is made in China. You'll find scarabs, banana paper that looks like papyrus, machine and handmade alabaster knickknacks, t shirts, hats, scarves, dresses, galabia, and stuff. Shops are generally arranged on either side of a walkway that you have to walk through, either getting into or coming out of the site. Shops and their proprietors line each side of the walkway in a configuration you'll soon find yourself calling a gauntlet. Shopkeepers will follow you around trying to convince you to look at their stuff because somehow their stuff is unique. A pro tip, it's not. If you're interested, indulge. Here's a good rule of thumb for negotiating. They start by asking double what it's worth. But come on, don't obsess and ruin your mojo just to get the best price. Just get a price you're happy with. If you're not interested in buying anything, don't be chatty. Just give a polite no thank you, try not to make eye contact, and keep walking. Another pro tip, when a seller says $1, they don't mean that. Everything is $1 until you have to pay. Also, do not accept any gifts. They are not gifts, and a big ruckus will ensue if you try to walk away with them without giving some token of appreciation. The Gauntlet isn't your only choice for buying souvenirs. You'll find local shops, maybe near your hotel or attached to a museum. If there are marked prices, they're usually fixed. If not, it's okay to negotiate. Whatever you buy, caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. Many things may not be what they are represented to be, especially for old things, handicraft things. Don't even trust the material that they say they're made from. If you get to a shopping mall or department store, prices are fixed, and more generally, it seems you can be pretty sure that what they say they are selling is really what they're selling. And buying food? Well, here's the thing, you're not used to the local germs. Nothing can spoil your holiday faster than getting mummy tummy, Touts guts, or the stinks of the Sphinx. So, unless you're braced for the consequences, don't buy street food, not even the great bread that's everywhere. Stick to modern looking and busy bakery shops. Stick to restaurants that appear to have a decent level of hygiene and maybe some foreign diners. Don't eat any uncooked veggies or fruit that you haven't peeled. Try to do without salad. We ate well for 3 weeks and managed to make it through without any upset. That said, there are a lot of great Egyptian delicacies you're going to want to enjoy. I think Egypt is sweets heaven. We brought home more than 10 kilos of desserts, dates, and spices. How? We took an Uber to the big Carrefour in Festival City Mall and really stocked up before we left. Find details in the description. Before I let you in on the one YouTube channel that's really important to know about if you're planning a trip to Egypt, let's do a short language lesson. One of the things that made our trip smoother is that we took the time to learn just the bare minimum of Egyptian. Hello, goodbye, thank you, no thank you. I don't speak Egyptian, and no one ever suspected I was Egyptian with this little bit of language. But knowing just a little bit shows respect and a desire for connection that's hard to reproduce any other way. So, here are the 4 phrases that you're really going to want to learn. Pay special attention to the last one. It's a lifesaver. There are lots of ways to say hello in Egyptian, but you're not here hanging with friends. So just start by learning the formal way. Salam alaikum. That just means peace be with you. It's quite common in many Arabic countries. Salam alaikum. The response you'll get is alaikum salam. That just means, and with you peace. Alaikum salam. So if someone greets you with salam alaikum, you can reply, Alaikum salam. Once you've learned hello, goodbye is easy. Ma salema. Go with peace. Ma salema. Living in Thailand, this one was easy to learn because it sounds a lot like the name for Thai New Year. Shukran. Thank you. Shukran. If you want to be especially sincere, put your right hand over your heart when you say it. Shukran. Now, here's the magic words you need to know to get rid of tenacious touts, pushy proprietors, and even unyielding urchins. It's perfectly polite, it can be used with anyone, but for refusing unwanted offers, it's like kryptonite. After you say it, you can be sure you've been extremely polite, even as you walk away and ignore any further entreaties. Harry Potter uses Evanesco to make things disappear. You'll use La Shukran. No, thank you. La Shukran. For extra emphasis, don't forget the hand on the heart. La Shukran. Hey, have a good time in Egypt. I did promise to tell you the one channel I found that was really helpful in preparing us for Egypt. Be sure to watch Giselle and her G Ventures channel. You'll find her link in the description. My name is Yai, host of the Let's Live in Thailand channel. While you're watching YouTube, why not go and look at some of my Thailand videos? Sawadee krap.